Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto and Couple. And if this is the first time for you to listen to our podcast, welcome.
Good to have you.
My name is MIKI.
My name is Chad.
And we are Crypto and Couple. And on this channel, we talk about finances but mainly about Bitcoin. We have talked about how you were introduced to Bitcoin and what is Bitcoin anyway on the last 2 episodes. And today we are talking about mining.
Oh, this is going to be so exciting.
I know. How often do people ask you about mining?
Oh, all the time. And it's also like the same question of saying, how does the email protocol work exactly? And it's sometimes, from that perspective, it's a very boring question, but I guess, when it comes to Bitcoin, since it's so brand new, that's, mining really, really traps people. So,
yeah. Because I feel like there are so many people who hear Bitcoin or cryptocurrency and hear like, oh, if you do mining, you can make a lot of money.
All you gotta do is just flip on your computer and
I know.
it starts making money magically.
Yeah, so maybe some of you may have heard about mining. So we are going to talk about what is mining anyway, or how you can do it, and what Chad think about mining.
That's a good start.
Yeah, okay, so let's start with that. What do you think about mining personally?
What do I think about it?
Because you do not do mining.
That is correct. The reason why that I don't do mining is because it requires a lot of maintenance and upkeep, and a very big competitive edge in order to stay profitable. What do I mean by that? Well, first you have to acquire the capital goods, the miners itself, and these are specially made computer devices that do one thing, focus on Bitcoin, and that would be, for specifically Bitcoin. The other ones are graphics processors that you would see in your normal computers. Those could also be used for mining other cryptocurrencies as well. So you have to go out and buy the equipment. The next thing is then putting it together at a place that is outfitted with enough power. Also, that you're not going to be violating any regulatory. You also need to make sure that it's ventilated enough, and so so installing electricity, ventilation, all this infrastructure takes just a lot of spin up to get going. Once you've got everything installed, then you got to maintain it. Things will fail. You got to swap out a power supply. You got to go and troubleshoot one of the units, try to get it back up and running.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get degradation throughout the process. Then, last but not least, you have to overturn these miners. They'll get old. They will not be able to compete up with the new miners that are coming out, or the new GPUs. So now you got to be able to find a way to sell these things back into the market, or get rid of them quickly, get back your any cash that you can get from that investment, and then start the whole cycle process over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's if everything is running smoothly and the price is always going up.
But have you ever even tried to do mining, or have you ever been interested in mining, or you're always like, oh, I'm not gonna do it, it's too competitive? And
I find it very, very fascinating to see a mining farm. I've only done a little bit of mining through different people where they had big mining farms. I got to help out with that. That was very fun. But the amount of capital it would take in order to get an outfit going was just not worth it at the time. Nowadays, you could buy a really good graphics card that, for very, very expensive, and just flip it on and start making money from it. And so there's kind of two sides to this story. I chose not to do mining back in 2014, 2013 when I got introduced to it. I saw that capital requirements, and I thought to myself, having very, very few amount of dollars to my name, what should I put it on? I think buying Bitcoin on spot was the smartest decision. But I think mining, on the other side, for the bold and the brave, it's a really, really cool adventure for them. I would say from my nephew, when he doesn't use his graphics card, to some big players, you can, there's a spectrum that somebody can fit into with mining. And so that's what I think about mining.
Yeah, because it's really funny to see, because you have been in IT support or IT, IT consulting-ish, and you have all the graphics card in the world, or you have really, really, really powerful computers, and still you decide not to do it. And when you get a phone call from someone and say hey, I want to learn mining and I want to go into crypto space, you always listen, say, hey, I will recommend you to use that $3,000, $5,000 to put into the computer to Bitcoin. So do not use that money for computer, for mining, but use it for buying Bitcoin. So it's really funny to see, because all the technology, all the security, all the stuff about Bitcoin, but still you are not doing it. So I was just curious.
I'd say that's a very fair assessment. It's it depends on which player comes into the market. I certainly have some people who are interested in doing the high scale operation. However, I just don't want to dedicate the amount of time to doing such an adventure. But for the little guy that's out there, I'm trying to learn how to navigate the world of crypto. Getting your hands dirty in mining helps you understand the process as well. I would say when we got to do it with our little USB block eruptors between a friend and I, tiny little micro USB sticks, it really, really helped me solidify that education, the first principles of how cryptocurrency works. So getting out there and learning it, but doing it at a very small scale is where I would recommend it doing. And then if you can find the competitive edge and you've studied enough, you can scale it up with some wonderful entrepreneurial ideas. But focusing on just the brand new person, keep in mind with just mining is, as we explained further, it's a great way to support the network, and they are one key player amongst the rest of the community in cryptocurrencies.
Well, we're gonna start talking about mining without really talking about what mining really is. So let's kind of wind back and let's talk about what mining really is. And it's gonna we will talk a little bit. So on the next episode we will talk about what blockchain is. And mining is one part of the blockchain, and that's what make this technology great. But if someone asks you, hey, what mining is, how do you answer to the question?
Mining is computers trying to solve a problem as fast as possible. Using hardware that can calculate numbers as fast as possible. I think that would be one answer to describe what mining is.
And then you will get reward if you calculate it or if you finish the calculation.
Right. Yeah. And so I would say another way to look at mining from an analogy standpoint. Take a room of 100 people and give them a Sudoku puzzle, and say to the crowd that you only have 5 minutes to do the Sudoku puzzle. Well, if anybody's done one of those, it's impossible to do one in 5 minutes unless you're really, really good at it. So what do you got to do if you're not good at Sudoku? You have to guess. And that's essentially what all these mining rigs are doing. They are guessing the best possible answer for that Sudoku puzzle. Now, the one thing is that it is easy to check the answer to make sure that it is right, and but it's much harder to come up with that right answer. Now that you have that in mind, everybody just starts writing down as many numbers as possible. Finally, little Timmy holds up and says, "I got it right," and told the whole entire network the answer. Well, everybody checks it. Timmy checks out. Great. He then gets what's called the block reward, and he gets rewarded with newly minted Bitcoin or other crypto.
The only one, like the first one will get the reward, or the second one and third one who double checked first will also get a reward?
It will be the first person who got the answer.
Okay.
Yeah. The second person the first double checking the answer does not get you the reward. Finding the answer to it is what gets you that. And you get newly minted Bitcoin that get introduced to the network, and of course by the consensus rules, it's limited of how much Bitcoin will come out per block. And I believe currently we're at 6.25 Bitcoins per block reward that is minted every time a block gets added to the blockchain.
And it will be like reduced to half every 4 years, right?
That is correct. Under the Bitcoin consensus, roughly every 4 years, the mining reward will be cut in half. It started off in 2009, 2010, when the first block came out, the Genesis. It was 50. And roughly several years passed by about for them. Then it reduced it from 50 to 25. Then we had another split, and it went from 25 to 12.5, and then now we had one back in summer of 2020, and now it is at 6.25 Bitcoin per reward. So as we go over time, the production rate decreases over time, making
it's because the internet, the technology or computers spec is getting better and better year by, and that's why I heard that they reduce the reward of mining every 4 years because the MUAs, I don't know how to say it in English. MUAs, like rule something, like the technologies.
Oh, Moore's law. Yeah, Moore's. Yeah, well, Moore's.
How to say?
Yeah, Moore's law. Yeah, Moore's law.
MUA. MUA no 法則 in Japanese, but Moore's law.
Yeah, so Moore's the amount of Bitcoin being rewarded per block does not change if you have a more powerful computer. What does change is let's go back to the Sudoku puzzle. Okay, say like we follow Moore's law, we have a more powerful chip. Okay, well, instead of the Sudoku puzzle being just 9 squares, let's kick it up another notch. Let's add another ring around the whole entire thing. That is called, that process of adding an extra layer to the Sudoku puzzle is called the difficulty adjustment. So the Bitcoin network will be aware of more chips, more hardware getting put onto the network that it will take into account and start making the problems harder, making the Sudoku puzzles harder. Otherwise, the network would just burn through and make more Bitcoin faster than what's has been intended. Now let's say that all of a sudden, just like recently in China, they shut off all the miners. Well, the rate of hashing, as it's called, will drop, and at that point, in a couple of weeks, the difficulty adjustment will kick in again, and it'll take away those rings, some of those rings around the Sudoku puzzle, making it easier to solve for that. And the people who are still mining, now that competitors have been pushed out of it, they're getting more of the rewards between the fewer. It's a fantastic game theory system that Satoshi was able to build.
So did Satoshi Nakamoto, did he write about this on the white paper too? Like, oh, we are gonna reduce the reward every 4 years because of this, because of that. Like, did he mention it on the white paper?
Yes, that was described in the white paper. From in terms of what we call the mining operation, it's called a proof of work, and so that's what the miners are doing. They're doing some work and they're proving it in order to show that in order to show that they're creating a block in the consensus of the rules. Adam Back, a core contributor, created the proof of work system using a technology or a company called Hashcash, and that was a predecessor to Bitcoin, which Satoshi saw this whole entire thing of proof of work and the mining and added that into Bitcoin, the white paper, as a contributing part to the whole technology of Bitcoin. Not a hold on that.
Okay, so maybe I hope everyone got better idea of what mining is.
Yeah, this one is a little short episode, but
no,
nonetheless.
we are not done.
Oh, forgive me.
Shame on you.
I know, right?
No, so I have a couple more questions, if you do not mind me asking.
Oh, not at all, darling.
Oh, wait, let's do English accent for the rest of the
for
the rest of the episode, because I have been practicing Queen's English. I hope someone from UK are listening to our podcast, Crypto and Couple. Okay. So, next question. So, we know what mining is right now. So, when someone asks you that, I don't care about making, someone come to you and say, like, hey, I want to build one computer from scratch to do mining. What is the minimum spec you would put into the computer? Like, what kind of GPU, or like what kind of environment do you need for mining?
Let's say that somebody has $4,000 to $5,000 and they want to do a mining rig. Well, if you were able to get anything from an RTX 3090 by NVIDIA. That's about $2,000 GPU by itself.
And can we still buy it, or it's still like sold out everywhere?
Oh, it's been sold out because the market is just so high. Once again, we go back to the competitive edge, and acquiring this equipment is one of the biggest challenges. It has become so intense that finding this at a regular retail price is insane. You have to either go to the secondary market, or you have to keep hashing away at the retail stores in order to be able to acquire them. If there are any backdoor channels which you can get high volumes, but now we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of worth of ordering. But I digress. Back to the $4,000 computer here. You can put together a computer if you can get a hold of that hardware and start mining today with something like simple as NiceHash. There are several other different ways that professional miners would recommend versus that method, but it's the easiest and quickest way to get up and running. If you are the dedicated person that wants to take your closet and turn it into a whole entire mining operation.
Closet? Garage.
Oh gosh. You could be spending about $5,000 to $10,000, let's say $2,000 to $5,000 worth of infrastructure cost just to get cooling and proper electricity, and then you have to source your miners and then install them. So that could be around $15,000 to $20,000 type of setup that we're talking about.
So if someone set up let's say 4,000 or 5,000 computer for mining, how much do you think the computer can mine a month? If they're lucky.
Some of these, some people have been, depending on where the market is, can get up to about $30 a day for one GPU. That's pretty dang good. If you were to stretch that out for about 2 months, that pays off the GPU. That's roughly about $2,000. I'm sorry, that'd be a month and a couple days that would pay off.
And also they still need to pay for electricity and everything. So it's not just about buying computer and make money. It's all the combination of electricity, this and that.
Exactly, the fixed cost and variable costs.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's why I heard that the United States and Japan is not really a great country for mining, because electricity fee is not cheap. Mm-hmm. So it would be better to do somewhere cold and somewhere with cheaper electric cost.
Correct.
So that's why there are big mining factory in China or other ones in Russia too, maybe?
I'm sure there are. Iceland has also been another place with their volcanic activity out there. Even here in Colorado, we have one company called Riot that's on the NASDAQ stock market, publicly trading. There is also a really, really cool guy at Denver Bitcoin. His name is Adam. He did a very inventive way to get that competitive edge. Here in Colorado, we use natural gas in order to fuel our electricity and heat out here. And within doing the mining of natural gas, there are at times what we call a flare-off, where they have to burn excess amount of gas. And there is regulatory policies surrounding that, and you can't distribute too much gas. So what do? They just burn it off. Well, Adam was able to get a mining operation set on the grounds of that of the natural gas plant, and be able to use that wasted energy for pennies on the dollar to get that competitive edge. So at this point now,
that's like mind blowing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, yeah, there. What is that story and in China have to do? It's just cheap electricity. We're talking about 1 cent per kilowatt type of thing, and when you go into a normal house, you're looking at 10 cents per kilowatt. That's a really, really big, huge difference when you're trying to do this professionally.
So do you think, are there any like company who are doing just some mining, like dedicated to do mining as their business, the main business?
Yeah.
Because the natural gas thing, that's like kind of side work or one part of the business now, but like the main source of income or the business is still natural gas. Does that company?
Well, Riot is a purely mining company.
So they only do mining.
Yeah, I am not familiar completely with the company, but what I was saying about Adam and his operation, he is his own separate entity that's leveraging a natural gas company. Riot is one player within the space, like I said, that does dedicated to that. And then there is several others. There is one publicly traded company in China that has gone down the tubes. It's called Canaan, and they were focused on mining, but since the ban in China, they have definitely taken quite a bit of a hit on their stock on the markets. Other companies that you could say, AMD is going to be a huge one with their graphics cards that they make. They certainly get influenced when the crypto markets go up and when it goes down. When it goes up, they're selling graphics cards like hotcakes, and they can't keep up. But when the market goes down, they certainly take a big hit on their stock. NVIDIA would be another player for it. And then some private players that are out there. There's Ant Group, who makes the Antminer S19 that's out right now. Wow, we're on Model 19. I remember when there were S5s. Wow. Anyways, what was it, S5? No, S9. My apologies. Yep, S9. Anyways, so there's lots of different people, from chip makers to actual users of the equipment, and they're very fascinating contributors to the space.
So like there are so many like big companies with lots of capitals doing mining for their main business. But I wonder why there's, I don't know. I'm kind of interested in doing mining. Can I mine Doge? I don't want to buy it. Can we use this iMac to mine Doge?
I think we'll kill it in about 48 hours.
Really?
Yeah, we would probably overheat the iMac with trying to mine it. I think that would be very, very sad.
Okay, it's not worth it for a Doge. Okay.
One last thought about mining. I think it'll be interesting to see power companies get into it, as well as other sleeping electronics, say like your Tesla, mining, or if Excel Energy, which is the energy company out here in Colorado, what if they bought up and started mining with the excess energy just to add to more revenue? there's lots of different possibilities, and I can see those companies that we're talking about being sucked into one more big gigantic one. But that would be very, very interesting process to see.
Where does the reward come from from the mining? Because that's like a lot of the 6 point whatever Bitcoin as reward is a lot of Bitcoin, or not a lot, but still.
Well, yeah.
Money. Like, where does the fee, or where does it come from? Like, is it the interest or fee from the transaction, or the original pull money or pull Bitcoin?
Well, there has to be. There's two parts to it. When the miner gets the block reward, they get newly minted Bitcoin, and they also get the transaction fees from everybody sending Bitcoin to one another. The amount of Bitcoin that they're going to get minted is a fixed property. It is built into the code ever since the original version, and it still is the same rules today with the current software iteration of Bitcoin. The miner fee, it will be variable, so if there's less activity on the network, the miners will collect less transaction fees. But and of course vice versa. Those together will help the profits of a miner, and with keeping their lights turned on and all their employees paid. But yeah, those are the two things that are just really huge to know. You can't change the production rate of Bitcoin. It will always be within this rules of 6.25 currently, and it will cut in half into what we call the halvening in next couple of years, around summer of 2020. Halvening, HLVIN, halvening, yeah, HALVING, halvening. That's the day when it cuts. It's when you get it's that day when you cut the mining reward in half. So the next one's 2024. It'll cut down to 3.125. Sweet, I can do math too.
Oh wow! I'm Asian and I'm bad at math, so good for you.
Yeah, the one just to reiterate, if somebody were to come in and say, I want to change the mining reward and increase it more, well, I would suspect that you'll be the only person that wants to do that out of the rest of the network that says, no, we're going to keep it the same. And that's just part of the ideology within Bitcoin, and how it works is to move slow with their software iterations.
One last question. So I was reading a book about Bitcoin in Japanese, and I learned about, how do you say it again?
Halvening.
Halvening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I gotta write it down later. On halvening.
Wow, I didn't even spell that right earlier. I just realized that HALVENING. Halvening.
Okay, so anyway, so I read in the book that so the first time they halved the reward, all the price or market price of the Bitcoin went up. And then 2016, the second time of the halving, the price went up. So like the price tend to go up every 4 years when halving happened. Do you think it's true, or it's just a rumor or conspiracy?
Well, if we take a look at a simple supply and demand chart, we have a fixed supply and we can have ever-changing demand. By that basis, when Bitcoin is in high demand, it will increase the price. And the true scarcity of Bitcoin by the rules will dictate that economic model. When the halving occurs, it is a production cut, not a supply cut. And so we're increasing the amount of Bitcoin into existence at a decreasing rate. Currently we're at 18.5 or 18.7 million Bitcoin roughly. And we will get all the way up to 21 million by the year 2140. Where am I going with this? But to go back onto it, if you take a look at the chart that will show on the for those of you watching YouTube, you'll be able to see the times of when the halving happened, and we saw an uptick in the price preceding it. This is not a coincidence because of the networked effect and that's happening with Bitcoin. And as more utility and more users come on, we will see the price simply increase because it's fixed, and the supply is fixed, and yet the demand continues to increase all the time. So we get a supply shock. We then have increased demand, and hence why we see the parabolic run-ups that we've had within Bitcoin. So I would say on that basis, you can form a theory of how volatile this thing is going to be for a very long time. And I would suspect that this is a model that could be in its own ways predictable and repeatable.
Well, thank you so much for answering all the questions.
Thank you as always. It's been fun. I hope you guys learned something today and enjoy the show.
I know that it's a lot because it's a lot for me too. But I really hope that someone who's interested in mining but no idea how to do it have like a better understanding of what mining is. And if you want one-on-one lesson about like Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or stuff like that, you have one-on-one session.
We certainly do. Yeah, come check us out at bitcointrarians.com. Links in the descriptions. And come get to know us. We'll give you a 5 free-minute phone call to make sure that we get you the value that you're seeking. And looking forward to helping you out.
Yeah. You have already had like several students and everyone loved your one-on-one session so far. So
it's been unbelievable of how well received this consulting has been, and certainly marketing on Clubhouse has been very, very wonderful, but we're looking forward to sharing this with a lot more others.
Yeah. And also Chad is really passionate about educating, not like making money. We are doing this because we believe that learning about Bitcoin and learning about finance is really important. So he always makes sure to have a 5 minutes phone call. And if you are not ready to pay one-on-one session, you will recommend books to read or contents to go through before take the lesson, so that you will not dump the money on something you can learn on the internet. You will always make sure that they will be ready to take your lesson. So
absolutely. And as I like to ask at the end of every single consulting sessions, did you get value out of this? And I aim to do so for you folks as well.
Yeah. So please drop an email or DM through the various platform in the description down below. And also we are streaming this on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and also YouTube. And sometimes we share some of the screen or charts or some websites along the like us talking. So if you want to see what's going on the screen or what we are seeing, please check our YouTube too. And on the next episode, I hope we will upload it next Saturday, but we are going to talk about what is blockchain anyway. And we'll talk about what blockchain is and what's great about it, and in what kind of industry it's useful, or we will talk about just blockchain.
Excellent.
So
looking forward to it.
Yep.
Well, that's it for today's show. We're a crypto-owned couple. I'm Chad.
And I'm MIKI.
We thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys soon.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.